We are live. Today, Lexus has revealed its first ever electric vehicle, at least for North America, the RZ450E. And today I have with me a special guest, Michael from Lexus Enthusiast. Michael, how's it going?
Hey Kirk, it's going really well. How are you?
I'm a kid in a candy shop today. I'm sure you are as well. Like I when I was selling for Lexus, everyone would check Lexus Enthusiast to stay up to date on what was going on. So like you guys and your channel, you and Kevin, like you guys were an inspiration for me.
Oh,
And starting my YouTube channel, and of course Lexus was like the founding car brand of my channel. And
yeah.
if you guys watching don't know what Lexus Enthusiast is, obviously it's up on the screen, lexusenthusiast.com. They have awesome podcasts, always up to date on Lexus information. Most of the time they beat me to the punch, but they are really, really good. And Michael, if you just want to give us a little background, as short as long as you want, about yourself,
Yeah.
what you do for a living, and how you got involved with Lexus Enthusiast.
Yeah, for sure. I have been working with Lexus Enthusiast for, I guess, about a year now. I am a couple time Lexus owner. I have had a GS, I've had an LS, and I currently have a GX. We also had an IS 350. So multiple time Lexus owner. We've also had plenty of Toyota products in the mix. Let's see. At one point, Kirk, like many years ago, I worked for Lexus corporate. I also worked for a little while I was in college at a Lexus dealership. And I've just always loved the brand and started out on Club Lexus years ago. And then when Lexus Enthusiast started up and really became the place to be for Lexus people, I was introduced to Kevin and we hit it off. And about a year ago, started working together on some content stuff and coverage, like the podcast, some of the stories. And that led me to you. And Kirk and I got to meet in person last year at the HQ Confidential event in Plano. So thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. And I can't wait to see you again this year at HU Confidential, where we'll probably see the RZ in some
Yep.
shape or form.
Yep.
So yeah, lots of exciting things coming for Lexus, and that's what we're going to break down tonight together. And we do have a little outline for us to go through, try to keep us on track, which is going to be hard to do because we just love Lexus so much and have so many opinions, good, bad, and indifferent, about nearly every aspect, not only of this car but just of the brand. So I think what we're going to do, you can see my screen, right, Michael?
Yep.
All right. So we're going to start with the numbers of this vehicle. In terms of just basics, I'm not going in terms of length or weight. I don't even know if we have weight yet. But I updated the spreadsheet here. These numbers are in horsepower: 308 horsepower, 320 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 is faster than I was expecting at 5.2 seconds. But I wanted to start with the battery at 71.4 kilowatts. I think that's one of the big things people are concerned about, is the range of the vehicle, and it's using the same battery as a front-wheel drive BZ4X. So just wanted to get your thoughts on the battery and the modest range.
So I guess I'll say a couple things about the battery. I've read a lot of comments about it today. A couple people have made the point that a lot of the competitors all use like 90 kilowatt hour size, and Lexus is like the 71 point, what is it, 71.4.
Yeah.
So I think people were expecting something a little bigger. I feel like the conversation about cars, but especially electrics, tends to come down to specs. And I think there's going to be a
Yeah.
lot to the RZ that people are going to like, even though it may not be a leading vehicle in terms of specs. And I'm not saying that to make an excuse, but 225 miles of range is going to be enough for a lot of people. I think Lexus and Toyota have done a lot of research on the
Mhm.
different ways that people live and use cars and the environments and things like that. So if
Sure.
you're an urban or suburban user, 225 miles and being able to recharge probably work perfectly fine for you. I think it would have been cool if it was a little bit bigger and maybe we hit like the 275 to 300 mile range. But this is also Lexus like first real dedicated shot at a BEV. So
Yeah.
I think it'll be up from here. What do you think?
Well, there's a couple of things like what is real world range going to be? Lexus and Toyota are such conservative companies, and I wouldn't be surprised. And here's the thing: when I drove the BZ4X, like my range was going up when I was driving it based off of my driving habits. So it was projecting over the EPA estimates as I was driving it. It was kind of bizarre, but it was happening. So I wouldn't be surprised if real world is different. And what's also interesting is a 225 might be for like the entry level RZ with no pano roof, because a pano roof is an option on this vehicle, which is kind of boggling to me because it's standard on the BZ4X. And we'll talk about interior and options later. But I think that is best case scenario. 225, and I think if you have the pano roof, Mark Lev, etc., I think that is going to go down maybe to like 215. I think what Lexus wanted to do is say like, hey, you know, here's 225. It's is good or better than the all-wheel drive limited BZ4X, which is like 222 miles off the top of my head. So I think they just wanted to show their best hand there with the range. And a lot of people are also concerned about cold weather. Like they're like, oh yeah, we know cold weather zaps batteries performance, but Toyota and Lexus have been bragging about their cold weather performance. So it'll be interesting to see how well they do against their competition there. And I had another thing. There's a lot of battery talk. So it's from Panasonic, and it's literally the same battery from the BZ4X, but I think Lexus, their whole design about this vehicle was driving feel and performance. And Marizo, aka Akio Toyota, in order for this to like be approved by him, it has to drive really, really well. And so I think that's why they took kind of like a very small battery compared to its competitors, because it didn't like, if once you start adding that weight, like the car feels like a freaking barge in the turns. And it wasn't good enough for his standards. That's my guess. So yeah, it looks modest on paper, but there's a method to Toyota and Lexus madness. And keeping it the same battery as the BZ4X, I think also should keep costs down through Panasonic. But I know I just went on a rant there because I've been thinking a lot about this battery all day. But did you want to say anything else before we move on the next piece after the battery?
The only thing I'll mention, and you hit on it too, was I was looking through the press release, and I think it specifically says that the 225 mile range is for the base model with 18-inch wheels. If I'm not mistaken, I think the one that they've been showing with that really beautiful multi-spoke wheel, I think those are either 19s or 20s. So
I think they're 20s.
Yeah, I think you're right. So
I can't believe there's even an 18-inch wheel option.
I know, but I think like, look, I think if there's going to be some people who are going to look at this thing and they want, like, they're just like, I just want a Lexus, I want it this size, and I want the best range possible, then like, that's probably, I mean, that person probably exists and Lexus wants to appeal to them. So I get it.
I get it too, but we'll talk about like allocation later. It's like, we're not getting many of these things. And I bet Lexus is just going to give us the vast majority, like completely decked out, because that's, like the customer is going to buy that first year no matter what. And they'll probably just have a few that are the 18-inch base just to say that like, hey, we are able to get 225 miles. So
yeah. Yep.
Okay, I think we've talked a lot about the battery. I think we're going to move on to the motors, which are actually, we know what they are. They're supplied from the BZ4X, and it's a combination from the front wheel drive BZ4X for the front motor and at the rear, the all-wheel drive BZ4X for the rear motor. And they're supplied by Blue Nexus, which you guys, I think, have featured on your channel before. That's actually how I found out about Blue Nexus, was thumbing through the comments on your videos, because your readers like know more about Lexus than I do.
Got it.
So like Blue Nexus is a company with Denso Aishin and Toyota, and they're creating all the motors and inverters for their electric vehicles, as well as a bunch of other things like heat pumps, etc.
Okay.
So we know it's 308 horsepower and 320 pound-feet of torque. Were you disappointed with those numbers? Do you think Lexus should have given us more, or are they going to be okay?
I you know, I guess I have mixed emotions. So when it came out and we knew that it was going to be 450e, the other stuff that is 450, like GS 450h, RX 450h, like
Yeah,
I was expecting that it was going to be somewhere in the 300 to 350 horsepower range,
exactly.
just because of that. So I think like when it came to 308, which is that like exactly what the RX 450h produces, I think, or maybe that's 311, but
It's
um
308. 311 was
okay.
like the GS and the IS
Okay.
V6, I think. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was it was pretty much what I expected, I would say. And then the other part of that too is the way that an electric 308 horsepower drives is going to be so different from the way that a gasoline 308 horsepower drives. So
Completely.
I'm not ruling it
Completely.
out. I'm not ruling it out.
Yeah.
What
No, and
about
I
you?
think no, and we talked a little bit about this before the stream. Like I drove the BZ4X, and on paper it's like whatever 200 horsepower, 214 horsepower, and that car blew me away with its responsiveness, and its power and torque delivery. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, the ID4 has 295 horsepower, but I drove that car right afterwards, around the same time, and like I really wasn't impressed with how the power was delivered in that vehicle. So in real world driving conditions, like 308 is going to feel like a rocket ship. And I think more importantly, like this direct four system that Lexus has been working on for at least three or
Couple
four
years now.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've known about it since 2020. I think so.
Hmm.
2 years. I think we've known about it for 2 years now.
Yeah.
But I think like, gosh, they've been working on at least 2 or 3 years before that. So like this system, I am so excited to get my hands on and to see how it works. I was watching the documentary on the Japanese YouTube channel, and their whole vision was to make it like a cheetah. So when a cheetah's running at top speed and cutting corners, its head and its eyes pretty much stay in the exact same position, which is locked onto the target, and the body's just like moving at a million miles a second. So like that was their whole philosophy, is to make it like a cheetah, and they're not the bar. They're really proud of how the vehicle doesn't dive under heavy acceleration or under heavy braking. So
Mm.
I'm really pumped about it.
I'm with you on that. They've teased Direct for a couple different times. We at the front end, it was like, will it be on electric? Will it be on hybrid? Will it be on both? Like, how's it going to work? And I'm excited that now we just have some answers. Like
Yeah,
they did provide some interesting details on that in the press release, and you hit on it before in terms of like what Akio Toyota will accept. But like it the system, the way it's engineered and the way it works sounds quite complex, but I'm hopeful, and based on the way that they speak about it, it makes me feel like in operation it seems like it'll drive quite naturally, pretty organically, and hopefully be
I
a good
think so.
handling and driving car. So
I
yeah.
think I think yes, it seems complex in the press release because I read it a few times. I'm like,
Yeah.
I still don't know if I get it,
Yeah.
but I think it's actually going to make driving easier and allow you to be faster than what you normally would be in, like, let's say a rear wheel drive or normal all wheel drive car. So it'll be fun to see what it's like to drive. And I think we need to keep moving. And I think you can see my screen. So what I'm going to do
Yeah.
is pull up some images, and we're going to talk about the design of this thing. Like when I first look at it, I mean, it looks like a Lexus crossover, like just from the side body lines, right?
Hmm.
Like this arch that goes up, that's straight Lexus RX all the
Hmm.
way. It looks like a little bit of a future RX. I know the dimensions are fairly similar to the RX as well in terms of length. Wheelbase should be longer because of the battery pack underneath. But
Yeah.
yeah, what are your thoughts about the spindle body is what they're calling it?
I don't, I read that part of it, where they were talking about spindle body. I don't know. I guess this
Here
is
we go.
probably what I expected for, this is probably what I expected for
Hmm.
Lexus to deliver. I will
Hmm.
say, last summer when we were together and we saw the LFZ in person, there were, like I can never expect the translation from a concept car to make production 100%. But man, I mean, remember when we had the first day of press in that room, and like people couldn't take their eyes off of the LFZ. It was so beautiful.
Dude. Well, I think the LFZ, let me see if I can pull up an image since we're talking so heavily on it.
Mm-hmm.
The LFZ, to me, seems like the next chapter after this. Like, this is the
like
first.
LZ?
Uh, well, oh, yeah, like it.
You think that would
Sorry,
ever be a thing?
if like a flagship, like an
Yeah.
LF1 fully electric.
Or like could there be an NZ? Could there be an LZ? Like who knows?
Oh yeah, I got you. I
Yeah.
read you. Well, and that's like another question I was going to bring up earlier. It's like, why did Lexus choose this package to bring their electric cars? Super conservative. It's, they didn't choose their baby, which is like the LS, which is the car that started the brand. They didn't choose to go like the Mercedes route with the S class or the I can't even think of the EQS.
EQs, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't go that route. They were like, no, we sell volume in the RX. The RX is our cash cow, and we're going to produce an electric RX, and that's essentially what the RZ is.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly though, like while I did love the LFC, I think the RZ is really good looking. I think the reason that they did this, and I don't know this, but it's just my assumption is, they didn't want to do something that would compete directly with the RX. So like it seems like it's a little bit lower. The form is a little bit different. I think it was smart to go with the crossover / like utility vehicle form instead of a sedan. That's where the market's at. We all know that.
Right.
And I think, for a long time, like the category that contains vehicles like the X6 and the X4 and the Mercedes, SUV coupes and things like that. Like Lexus has taken a lot of flack for not competing in that segment. And I think it was smart on their behalf to have it be, okay, well, now the way that we enter this segment is going to be fully electric. So I think they sort of like took all those things and put them in one box, and that's how we got the RZ. But what do you think? Do you like the way it looks?
I think it's fine. I mean, they're just so conservative. Like it looks like an RX. Like no one's going to confuse it for any other brand, especially like this angle. Like you're telling me this doesn't look like an RX from the side. It looks like an RX coupe, right?
Yep.
And that's their moneymaker. They sell over 100,000 of those things in North America every single year. Like, yeah, of course they're going to want to convert some of those RX buyers into this sort of package. So, I mean,
will ask you this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I know we'll probably hit on it more in a little bit, but do you think that the RZ is better looking than some of the stuff that it competes against, or how do you think it stacks up? Like, for example, the EQS SUV came out today. There's the Audi. I always call it the Q6 e-tron, but I guess it's just e-tron.
Yeah, the e-tron.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how the e-tron looks a lot. It's very conservative. That's probably why I tend to like Audi designs. They're very simple. The EQs are too ugly and aerodynamic looking and bubbly to me. I think they look stupid. Yeah. Like if I'm spending $150K on a vehicle, I want it to look sick. Yeah. And I don't think the EQ vehicles do. The BMW iM is pretty aggressive looking from the front, but you look it from the side and I think it looks pretty dumb from the side. So I think this is a conservative but good looking car. Like it just kind of blends in with the rest of the Lexus crossovers. Like it totally looks like part of the family, where like the EQs, no, that's from like a different planet altogether.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm with you. Especially in like, I like Mercedes, so not speaking poorly,
for sure. No,
totally. The EQ sedans like literally pretty much look like a bar of soap. And then I saw the EQS SUV that just came out, and I don't know, I was hoping for something a little bit more aggressive, but look, like they're producing a lot of electric cars right now, so I'm not hating on that.
No, for sure. Yeah, they're super expensive, but they're Mercedes. They're expensive ass luxury brand, and they can back it up, and they have customers that'll easily shell that out. They did just have bragging rights with their electric concept. It's like the EQ XX or something, and went a ton of miles on a single charge. That car looks sick. But that's like it's a concept. It's like the LFZ, right? So it is what it is. Last thing on the exterior design before we move on is like I will say Lexus actually has some big cojones coming out with a design. Like they're like, oh yeah, spindle body, but not only that, if you want two-tone paint, here it is. Here's the spindle body in its glory. And this is the new copper color. I don't know what they're going to call it in the United States, but like they don't give a crap. Like they're going all in on
Wait, do you
the
think
spindle
that's the
body.
same? Like, I wonder if this color was sort of a riff on the LF1. I just realized
Yeah, it
that.
was.
Remember?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's exactly the same. I'm sure they found
Yeah.
a way to make it a little bit cheaper, but it's definitely inspired from the LF1 Limitless concept.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I got a bunch. Let's see. I don't know if I have all the pictures, but I got a bunch of pictures from the European news page with the two-tone paint.
Mm.
And like, what do you think about the two-tone? Would if you were buying an RZ tomorrow, are you getting all the same color? Or are you getting the two-tone paint?
Yeah, I can't tell you that I probably would be a two-tone paint buyer on a car like this. What about you?
I don't think I could do it, especially here in Florida. That glossy black would fade in no time.
Right. Yeah. I could do two-tone. Like I know more and more cars are offered with like two-tone and contrasting options. I could potentially do like dark gray with the two-tone, but not like the copper with black or the blue with black. Like that doesn't work for me personally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just hope they don't shoo you into it's like, oh, you want the luxury package of this? Oh, you have to get two-tone.
Right.
That's going to piss a lot of people off. Like this is crazy. Like a fully gloss black hood and the spindle grills, all that is aggressive.
Yeah.
I guess color combination from the factory. I'm not saying it looks bad, but it's aggressive.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, it'll be interesting to see what the take rate is on that. Actually, a good like it's not the same, but you know how the Camry offers the blackout roof option on the XSE?
Yes.
When that came out, I was like, this is ridiculous. I hate this. And turns out pretty much everyone loves it. It's like a super high in demand feature.
But you know what it is? It's like a wrap. It's not even paint.
Right.
This is of course like a high quality gloss black paint, but I mean, I'm just thinking of like rock chips and all this stuff on this glossy front end, and it's going to show. It just hurts me because I know within 1 week, if I bought this $70,000 electric car, whatever they're going to price it at, this is going to get mauled by the rocks on the road.
It's funny you say that. And I've been wondering about this every time that I look at the front of the RZ, like the part of every vehicle that takes the most beating is like the grill in the front bumper. And what on traditional cars, like, if something happens, like it's not that hard to buy a new grill, you can buy a new grill shield, you can buy a grill surround, you can do stuff like that. If a rock comes up and like, there's no mesh here. So if a rock flies up and hits that solid piece of plastic, like what happens? Is it done? Like you gotta replace the whole thing.
Yeah. Or could it crack it if you hit something big? Right. Yeah, I mean, it's not just Lexus having this problem. It's every single EV maker. I mean, Tesla's front ends are just like solid plastic. So it is what it is. But I guess it's better than a big rock going through and screwing up your radiator.
True.
So point. I get it. But, what's interesting, even on new cars to get that efficiency, it started with hybrids, but now like the Tundra has it. It's like adaptive aerodynamics. Yeah, the shutters that come down. Yeah. And those will take a beat. I would be happy for those to take a beat instead of my radiator.
Yeah, true.
Cool. I think we've hit on the outside of the vehicle. It's probably time to move inside. And I think we're going to start with what everyone's talking about is the steering yoke. And Lexus USA didn't show the steering yoke at all other than the teaser image. This was the teaser image. If I go to, let me thumb through. Here we go. There it is. This is the European news page, right? So like, this is a customizable buttons, like we see on the NX with the heads-up display. We don't know if it's coming to America, and What are your thoughts? What are your
Okay, let
thoughts?
me ask you this. If you were going to buy an RZ, would you buy the Yoke steering wheel or the traditional steering wheel, and why?
I would want to drive both before I make that decision.
Okay.
Um, me wanting, like, if it's electric car, me wanting to try something new, I'd probably just take a leap of faith and go with the yoke. But
Hmm.
everyone has their inner Vin Diesel and they want to rest their hand on top of the steering wheel, and you don't have that option here.
So
So,
that's how I drive.
and most guys do. Like, I
Yeah.
literally, like, there are videos where I'm doing car reviews and I'll just, like, a bunch of haters who just don't like my opinion on
Hmm.
a vehicle. They're like, why do you drive like that? You look like an idiot. Like, you should be driving with your hands at the 10 and 2 all the time. I'm like, are you like, my grandma wouldn't even say something stupid like that. So, like, I'm not, no, rest in peace, grandma, but I'm saying, like,
No, I know.
no, like, when you're learning to drive a car and it's like, put on your seat buckle, make sure both hands are the steering. Like, someone who cares about my safety doesn't even say ridiculous nanny things like that. So,
Right.
yeah,
No,
I
I'm
mean,
with you because I drive the same way. I get it varies for me. I mean, look, like I drive a GX 460, so that's like that's probably the single cushiest Lexus that's still left on sale.
fucking
So
love
there's
that thing.
days I do too. There's days where it's like I have this suspension and comfort mode, and I drive with one hand on top of the steering wheel, and it's just like floating all the way home, and I
Mm.
love that.
Hmm.
There's other days where like if I'm driving something different or if the situation's different, like I'll flip it in sport mode and I have my hands at like 10 and 2 like they should be. But like
Hmm.
where you would have to hold the steering wheel with the yoke in this picture especially is probably where I hold the steering wheel the least. So I think I would be inclined to probably go like a
Traditional.
traditional circular steering wheel, but I think
Yeah.
like you, like if they had one there, I could be convinced to take the yoke for a spin and see how I
Yeah,
like it.
for sure. And it is steering by wire. And I was watching that in Japanese, so I was getting, like, rough Google translates on the Japanese YouTube page. The guy who designed the steer by wire system said it took him 5 years to get the steering right to make it feel right.
My
That's all he's
gosh.
doing. Full time job, steering by wire, 5 years. And he's working like 12 to 14-hour days.
For
There's
sure.
so, like, I want to see that guy's blood, sweat, and tears and
Yeah.
see how it handles. But to me, it's all about ergonomics. Like, if I'm resting my hands on the armrest, like, my hand has to easily just comfortably sit on the steering wheel. So if I
Hmm.
can't do that in this car, there's no way I'm picking the yoke.
Yeah. Agreed.
And in this picture, if you look down here, this has the radiation heat that's taken from the
Oh,
BZ4X in the
yeah.
limited grade. So that is coming. It's optional. Here are the memory seats in this vehicle. But next thing to talk about, options. So this could be an option here in America, the yoke steering wheel, but what else? So, like, this right here, the Stargazer roof seems to be an option here. Um, and it's like from the Venza that it frosts out. So you
Yep.
can see, through it, and then you can't, it still lets light in. It's amazing, but you're not going to get scorched by the sun. And I really liked it in the Venza, but I really wish it was standard. What are your thoughts?
We actually just bought my mom a new Venza. She's got a limited Venza, and I love the Stargaze panoramic roof. It's a really nice feature. So
It's awesome.
I hope they offer it, if not make it standard.
Right. Yeah. Well, it is going to be offered. It's just not going to be standard, is what it
Hmm,
said in the American press release.
got it.
So, yeah. We're also going to have a heads up display, unlike the BZ4X. We didn't see any images of that. So that's kind of like still in the dark. They haven't even mentioned anything about it,
Literally.
I don't think, in the press release. We talked about, okay, so it has a digital latch like the NX,
Mhm.
nothing crazy there. Um, what other options? Okay, I guess there's some interior options here that confused me. So on the American press release, and no other press release had this information, but it said we're in him, at least in North America, we're in three different interior options: Palomino, which is kind of like a caramel
Mhm.
color; dapple gray and black, which is probably this,
Yeah.
which is going to be cool because I think it's accented with like ultra suede.
Okay.
Trying to find the image. It's just, oh, this is cool too. So
That's cool.
there's no like interior trims. Like I was looking for
Like
because
a
even on
wood
the
grain.
NX, yeah, like wood grain or
Yeah.
aluminum or some interesting pattern. I don't know if this is standard. I think it's available, but it's the essentially the ambient lighting in this vehicle, and it puts a pattern onto the suede inserts of the car.
That's really cool.
It's really cool. I don't think I've seen
Yeah.
anyone have a disco ball essentially
No.
in their car, so it's pretty baller.
Yeah.
There's one other interior color that they mentioned, and I don't know if it's like a typo, but it said ORAGE, orage. Um, I've never
Orage.
s- I've never seen that before. I'm like, maybe it means orange. Maybe it's a typo. But then I looked up.
Oh.
It could, but I looked it up, and it's orage is apparently a thunderstorm. So it could be a type of gray interior.
Hmm.
Like I think
Interesting.
I think this is the dapple gray here.
Okay. Okay. Wait, so
So
there's going to be Palomino, gray, and then this third option that we're not sure of.
yeah, this orage. If it's not a typo, it's orage or it's orange. Which
Interesting.
orange doesn't make sense to me. It's such an
Yeah,
aggressive
agreed.
interior color. That's like a Volvo sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I just don't know what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm surprised, like, if there's no like straight up black option or something like that, I'd be kind of surprised, but
Yeah.
maybe there won't be. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I think it's going to be like that two-tone gray and black.
Mm-hmm.
But what are your thoughts about the interior, the screen? Any thoughts about the layout before we move on?
Yeah. When the first teaser came out of the interior, like that first one that showed the yoke steering wheel, I actually will tell you that I think this is probably one of the best looking Lexus interiors in terms of like dashboard and design and implementation that we've seen in
Mhm.
a long time. We have seen them, struggling a little bit with screen implementation, like the LS refresh just sort of like had the tablet placed on top. The LX has like the dual tablet thing, which I think hasn't gone over that well, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
And then like a lot of the other models are a little bit older, so it's hard to tell. But
Hmm.
I think this looks really really nice. They like I'm not a fan of like the full pop up tablet look, so I like how Lexus and Toyota have done some sort of like semi implemented like pop up look. This looks like it comes up off of the middle of the dash, but the vents are above it. Um, yeah, I really thought that like the overall layout was quite simple, but still pretty handsome. And I really like it.
Hmm.
What do you think?
I love how simple and clean it is. A lot
Hmm.
of people are like, "Oh, it's cheap looking." I don't just because it's minimal doesn't mean it's cheap. Like I pointed out, like you can see that this is like a headliner material on the A pillar. Like in the
Hmm.
BZ4X, that was plastic. We can see the Mark Levinson here. There's no mention of Mark Levinson in any of the press releases, so that's
Oh,
still in the
interesting.
dark.
Yeah.
I like this wood. I think it's actual wood grain. I don't
Hmm.
think it's synthetic or fake. So they're not trying to be like they're not being like, oh, we're using all synthetic
Right.
materials. Like it's like I love wood grain in my cars. Like
I do too. I do
I just
too.
drove yeah, like I just drove
Yeah.
the Nissan Armada Platinum, and that thing felt like a bigger GX. It felt awesome, and it
Hmm.
had tons of bird's eye maple in it.
Yeah.
Loved it. So it's good to have the wood. And what's interesting is I'm looking at this. Okay, so we can see that this has the optional illumination on the doors with these disco
Yeah.
ball design. I wonder what these, because these aren't like L motif. I don't know what this design is supposed to be. These stars.
Me either.
But if you look down here,
I was wondering about that too. Yeah.
it looks like it's displaying like the galaxy or something
Hmm.
down here.
Yeah, it does. It
Like
looks,
even on this one.
yeah.
And you know it is because if you look, it has the shadow of the brake pedal, and that's cutting out like the stars falling on the mat,
Oh, yeah,
right?
you're right. You're right.
So it's a projection of some sort, and I think it looks really cool. And I'm glad Lexus is not following like it's cool like having LED lights in your car, ambient lighting, but most of it's pretty gimmicky, and like choosing a bunch of colors, it's a headache to thumb through the menus, whether in your Volkswagen or
Yeah.
Acura. Like
I agree.
it's just like an afterthought, but like this looks like it was done with attention and care instead of just running strips of LEDs through the car.
I'm with you on that. And not to bring up Mercedes again, but like I know when the new S class came out, a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, like the interior is incredible. I love it." And there's a lot of things about the interior I do like, but I will tell you, the LED lighting and the accents and the color options, if I'm buying a car like that, I don't want to feel like I'm sitting on the Vegas Strip. Like, and that's how it feels to me. Like
Yeah.
there's so much going on. And I
Yeah.
was looking today at some of the materials for the new 7 series as well, and it seems
Hmm.
pretty similar. So
Hmm.
and in terms of LED lighting, I do like Lexus' approach of less is more.
Yep. I agree. Um, yeah, the interiors of the Germans, they've always been a bit gaudy to me.
Mm-hmm.
Even way before electrification, tons of buttons. Like you would have your phone buttons in the middle, like
Yeah.
like a phone
Yeah.
dial.
I
Like this is
remember.
just so disgusting, and no one's using these buttons. Why are they here? Now they're doing it with screens. Like I don't need
Yep.
8 screens in the car. I need this one in the middle for infotainment and Android Auto, whatever. And apparently Lexus has decided to implement the climate control in there, and that's okay. I actually would prefer the BZ4Xs, which is a little bit more dedicated buttons, but even the
Mm-hmm.
BZ4X's buttons are touch capacitive still, to a certain extent, because they have like physical switches for up and down temperature.
Yeah.
But yeah, all you need is 2 screens. Keep it simple. I'm looking at about 50, 60 inches of screen space right now. I do it all day for a living. I know you're in front of a
Mm-hmm.
computer all day
Yeah.
for a living. When I get in my car, I don't need to be looking at a plethora of extra screens. I just want to go for a drive, and have like just relaxing experience. And
I agree.
screens
I
are
agree.
not relaxing.
I agree.
So Kiki, so I'm going to read the chat real quick because
Okay.
Kiki Adams is talking about Orage. It is a grayish blue off the zinc roofs of Paris.
Oh.
Orage is an ode to urban life and the charms of everyday life. The hints of green and yellow that soften its composition make it soothing. That
That's really
sounds like
cool.
that sounds like a Lexus description.
Yeah.
So I don't know where you got that, Kiki, but that was amazing, and thanks for sharing. By the
really
way,
cool.
guys, yeah, really cool. Guys, thank you for coming out. I know there's over 100 of you here in the stream, and I really appreciate that. I have the chat turned on for members only, just so it doesn't get too hectic in here. If you, I guess, want to add in the chat, well, Michael and I, if he's able to go a little bit longer in the stream, you guys can direct questions to him, of course, as well, when we get there. But I still need to get through our checklist here.
Yeah.
Lexus prides itself, and I guess has made a reputation on being stupid smooth and stupid quiet. This vehicle, based off the BZ4X, which I drove, obviously, that vehicle was quieter than most Lexuses I've driven in. That sort of formula being mixed with Lexus now, like I'm almost a little scared that I'm going to hear myself breathing. Like it's going to be so quiet. They're putting acoustic glass on the front and the rear windows standard. Of course, the windshield is going to be acoustic glass as well.
Nice.
So like, what are your thoughts on a freakishly quiet experience?
I love it. I mean, back in the day, like I had some TRD cars. I like when I had my GS, it was lowered and I had like a Borla exhaust and stuff on it. And so I don't know. I'm 34 now. After a long day in the office, I have to say I have many days where I appreciate being able to drive home in something that's smooth and quiet and comfortable versus like a little bit more punishing. And I think nobody has done that better over the years than Lexus, right? Like people have loved the LX and the LS and the ES and the RX for that reason. And as I get a little older every year, I find myself enjoying it too. So if this thing is freaky quiet, it's electric, there's no engine noise or anything like that, and the glass is all laminated and everything, I mean, to me that sounds great. What do you think?
No, I'm excited for it. Because I think when you're just cruising, you're not going to hear any engine noise. And there really isn't any engine noise per se on electric cars. You do have the electric motor whine, but Lexus spent, go figure, years developing a synthetic noise that connects to the emotional experience that we have in gasoline cars. I don't have that sound clip, but I have heard it on a couple different videos. It sounds good. I just want to hear it in person because everything sounds different, everything looks different, everything taste, touch, smell. All your senses are different when you experience in person versus just experience it online. So I think it sounds good. I wouldn't be surprised if Yamaha is just like, hey, we're experts at making things sound better than anything else. So here you go. But it'll be interesting. Like I know a lot of manufacturers are putting synthetic engine noises in the cars, and I'm okay with it as long as it sounds good.
Yeah, and you can turn it off if you want.
I hope so. I don't know if you're going to be able to.
Yeah, I don't know.
It would be a Lexus thing to be like, this is what's best for you, and force you into listening to the synthetic engine noise.
True. That's very true.
If you've noticed, like on some of the newer F Sports, like I think the new NX F Sport, it doesn't even have the ASC or the active sound control adjustment knob.
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize it didn't have it. I'm trying to think.
At least I don't know where it's at.
That I drove that had it was an IS 500, and I turned it off.
It doesn't sound much different on or off.
It really doesn't.
It's like,
really doesn't.
Did I turn it off?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to take a hard right here. We're going to get out of the images. I think we've talked everything interior, exterior. We've talked about the powertrains, the battery. We didn't really talk about charging. We just don't know that yet. I'm going to say 150 kilowatts. But I'm going to switch gears to allocation. And I got these numbers from Lexus Enthusiast, Hans Greimel. He's the editor there that is resident in Japan. He lives in Japan and he covers all the Japanese cars. So I try to read his articles as often as possible. And he had a bunch of information in his write-up on the RZ that wasn't in any of the press releases. And this, I mentioned in my video today, it blew my mind because he literally came down to allocation by a single units. He says North America is getting 439 per month. Europe is getting 584. China 1,500. How do you feel about that?
Yikes!
Whoops.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I know this is the first time you've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
So when it breaks it down, Lexus is only producing, and on the right hand side is full production. So these are the totals from the three biggest markets. And the full production is over on the far right. So per year, the first year, they're only good. I'm not saying the year for 2022 production, but I believe this is like, from October to October production, which is just 33,000 units for the world. I'm like, if there's 33,000 units allocated to the United States just for the first year, they would still have wait lists. Instead, we're getting 5,000.
Yikes.
Super yikes.
They're not going to have any problem selling them, I guess we can say that. 33,000 a year in total, a little over 5,000 a year for North America. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm a little surprised, but I also wonder how much of that is like capacity constraint, things like that.
It's totally, it is totally capacity constrained. So these are being built at the Motomachi plant. Where ironically the LC500 in my garage is built. The GR Yaris, the GR factories there, so the GR Yaris, GR Corolla are built there. The Toyota Crown, which we could have fun talking about that later if we wanted to. And the BZ4X and the Solterra are built there, and they're definitely going to be volume restricted, whether it's through production or just through battery availability. So I just don't know what it looks like as they try to produce more. Like Toyota wants to produce 2.5 million BEVs every single year, 2030 going forward, and possibly more after that. Like Lexus is supposed to be having, Lexus, they're wanting 1 million BEVs in 2030. It's like, well, we're not that far away, guys. Here's 2022 and we're producing 33,000. I just don't know how it's going to happen. And I'm sure Lexus knows a lot more than I do about their plants and their capacity and their ramp up, but I'm just very doubtful of it actually coming to that sort of volume production.
Yeah, I'm with you. Hmm. Well, I guess we know how this will go. I mean, I don't know. Do you actually? You're probably one of the best people to ask. Have you seen? I guess I have seen in the GX world some dealers charging markups on GXs. How much
Hmm.
do you think dealers are going to mark this thing up?
Well, it's going to depend dealer to dealer. So luckily, I worked for a Lexus Plus program, which is no longer um, like it's defunct. Lexus went away with it,
Hmm.
but Lexus Plus was upfront pricing, and at the time, it's like, okay, here's the MSRP, and we're going to take, let's say, $2,500 off the sticker when the market was good, right?
Yep.
So, like, no haggle price upfront, transparent. People loved it. People would come from out of state, even if they lived 5 miles from another Lexus dealer. They're
Hmm.
like, I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to play the games. Give me the price. And that's what a lot of people like about Tesla or these new startups that just offer one price. The thing is, with this, most Lexus dealers, like, okay, let's say there's, I don't know, 230, I don't know what the exact number of dealers in the United States.
Hmm.
I would say only like 10 to 15 of them are still upfront pricing.
Interesting. Okay.
So I would say the vast majority of these are going to be marked up, and they're going to be marked up 5, 10, 15 grand,
Yeah.
depending on the dealer.
Yeah. I think you're
So
right.
the thing is like, okay, so the thing is, we had people, when I was selling there, people fly in from East and West Coast, no joke, to buy a car because of the upfront pricing. Like,
Hmm.
and they just drive it home, make a road trip out of it. Good luck making a road trip out of a BEV with 220 miles. Like, it
Agreed.
doesn't make any sense. So you're screwed if your local dealer doesn't want to play ball fairly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like,
Yeah. That's going to be rough.
and this is not like a Lexus thing. This is a dealership model thing that is getting super rich right now because of the supply chain disruptions.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
yep.
Agreed. Interesting.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing the production numbers. I mean, I hadn't seen that yet, so this puts a lot of it in perspective.
Yeah, it does. And I, it makes me sad because
Hmm.
like 5,000 units for the first year is like just good luck if people are trying to get this car. And China getting the majority is a
Right.
kick in the pants.
Yeah.
But China's
Yeah,
the
look,
biggest market in the world. They want, and they
We
know, here's the thing, they're losing ground in the luxury market in China because they don't have EVs. Like, they grew really fast in China, and then China switched hard to the luxury market with EVs, and Lexus sales kind of just like leveled off there.
yeah.
So, and it's because they don't have competitive EVs. So they're going to focus on that. And I get it. Like, America, outside of a few states, don't really care about EVs that much. So
Yeah. Agreed. Sad but true.
sad but true. Yeah. Pricing. Do you want to tackle that? What do you think? Because we don't know. Like, what do you think pricing is going to be?
Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling it's gonna start somewhere around like 63, 64, 65,000. That's my assumption, and I don't have a reason for that. So that's my guess.
Sure.
And then I think it'll probably go up into, the mid 70s to approaching 80. It's my guess. What do you think? Start
Jesus.
at 60?
If I don't want to, it's at 80. I mean, people are going to pay it because they've been waiting years for Lexus to have a BEV because they want the Lexus experience, want the good dealership, customer service, and they just want a Lexus car that's electric, like, simple as that. But I think they're going to try to have it start around 60. I know that's aggressive, but like, looking at the competition here, let's see if I can zoom out. Looking at the competition,
Yeah.
Genesis is probably going to be around mid 50s is my guess. The e-tron starts around 65. The thing that's going to kick Lexus in the butt is running out of the tax credit in Q1.
Yeah. Good point.
And so they have to price it aggressively. But one of the things on their side that Genesis is able to benefit from with the GV60 is a shareable platform. So the Koreans have the eGMP platform, the Ioniq 5 EV6 are based off of, and the GV60 is just like a reshell of those vehicles, essentially, with a nicer interior. And you can make the argument like, yeah, the RZ is kind of like BZ4X, same battery, same motors taken from the BZ4X, different configuration, obviously, and a much nicer interior with a lot more quality assurance built into the vehicle.
Yeah.
So I think the cost, like because there's economies of scale going on, Lexus has an edge there, where BMW, Cadillac's hard to say because GM's like Ultium platform. That is, I think that's fairly scalable. So I think the Lyric might actually be a fairly close competitor to the RZ price wise.
I do like the Lyric. I like the design of it.
It's
I'm
cool.
excited to see how that thing shakes out when it comes to market when it's all said and done.
Yeah. Yeah, I am too, especially because Acura is going to be rebadging it in 2024.
Oh, I
So
forgot about that.
yeah, I'm very, very excited for it. For
Wait,
Acura's sake.
I wonder if
Yeah.
that's gonna like. Remember a couple years ago there was the rumor that Acura was gonna bring back the ZDX.
I mean, I always have hope for the ZDX return. So they could, yeah, they could call it the ZDX. I think that'd be
Yeah,
sick.
it kind of checks out. I don't know. I mean, like if you think about
Yeah.
not that they couldn't style it differently, but similar size. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the Lyric becomes the new ZDX, y'all. You heard it here first.
Okay. I mean, that's if there's one name they had to pick, I think that makes the most sense. Like
Yeah.
unless they want to go like, can you imagine if they called it the Legend?
Oh wow.
Because they brought back the Integra nameplate, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So what if
That's
they're
true.
what if they, for specific vehicles in the lineup, they're going to go back to the Legend or the Vigor? I don't know. The Vigor wasn't that popular, but
If the Acura Legend becomes a rebadged GM product,
that would be
I would
a
like to
big
be
kick in the
back on
nuts.
another live stream to chat about it with you.
It's heresy. It would be
Yeah,
heresy.
that'd
You're
be
right.
bad. That'd be
They
rough.
might try to save that for when they actually have their own platform online, which is like 2025, 2026 or something. So
Okay.
yeah, Honda and Acura will have their own platform, but we're gonna have stopgaps with GM badge or yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah. So, any other things you want to say before we start tackling some questions and then wrapping up the stream?
No, I think as always, the way you laid out the information here makes it pretty easy to see, and I think it, we kind of, I guess, was in a sense like we sort of close on this note that it's like when you look at these specs, I think it's a little bit hard sometimes when you look at the RZ, and it's like it's not really specifically class leading in any particular area,
Right.
but then you look at vehicles like the RX and the NX and any of them, and it's like I got to be honest, like what Lexus vehicle is or has been like particularly class leading on a spec sheet, and the answer is not really.
None.
I think any of them.
Yeah.
What sells Lexus and what people love is the reliability, and like I think that's also an important point here that we haven't touched on yet. I think there's a number of people I know who are still somewhat skeptical about electric cars.
Yes.
And I think people trust Lexus probably more so than any other brand. And so I think you're going to have some people who are saying like, okay, if Lexus is doing this, then I'm willing to give it a shot.
Sure.
So, but like some of the other stuff we talked about, like Direct 4, some of the other interesting technology pieces, like I think the RZ might be a cool entry into the EV, crossover ish space. It's just it's not going to be like a spec sheet leading vehicle. So that's my take.
No, but it could be a driver engagement leading vehicle with their Direct 4. It could be a quality leading vehicle with their fit and finish and their materials. It could be the quietest vehicle out there. And you mentioned reliability, and a lot of people are commenting on my video earlier, like, Lexus's main advantage of reliability is gone with battery electric vehicles. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, have you seen all the stupid recalls on battery packs, and whether it's a plug-in hybrid? I mean, the Bolt is a bad example, or a good example, I should say, of battery packs not being reliable if they're not built with quality assurance. Yeah. The Hyundai Kona, like there's tons of Hyundai products that have had battery recalls. BMW products with their plug-in hybrids have had battery recalls. I could keep going, like, and not only are they recalls, like they are financially crippling recalls. Like battery packs are so expensive, and that's why like Toyota and Lexus has been late to the game, because they like to make money, they like their margins. Batteries are expensive, and if you don't produce a battery pack that is going to last the test of time, or you don't produce a battery pack that isn't safe, like, you know, they've been waiting and waiting to perfect the battery pack technology, I think, with Panasonic, because they have 2 joint ventures with them to make sure that they're not going to get bit by producing a BEV that blows up and they'll have to recall it, costing them billions of dollars.
Yeah, true.
So
agreed.
And I think that's also another thing, like they're starting low production, I think mainly because of production constraints, but also maybe battery pack restraints. Like their quality control is so strict that not just any battery pack that Panasonic makes is going to be worthy to be put in this vehicle. So
true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they are still going to have the edge, and we're just so green into battery electric vehicles. No one really knows how well they're going to age. Like 10 years down the line, Lexus is guaranteeing 70% state of charge still.
Yeah, that's impressive.
So
yeah.
After 660,000 miles or whatever, 1,000,000 kilometers. So it's not just like, 10-year, 10,000 mile sort of powertrain warranty. They're, I know their actual warranty is actually we don't know the warranty on the Lexus yet. We know the warranty.
Powertrain warranty could be different.
Yeah, we know the warranty on the BZ4X, which is 8 years, 100,000 miles, which is actually ironically less than their hybrid battery warranties, which is 10 years, 150.
Yeah.
Which is Lexus's warranty too, which is 10 years, 150. So I think Lexus will take it to the next step with their battery warranties, 10 years, 150. Or they might just be like a head honcho and be like 10 years, unlimited miles. I think that's a possibility in other markets like Europe too.
It'd definitely be a competitive advantage. So it'd be cool if they did something like that.
Yeah. And the UX, for example, I think it's an unlimited battery warranty. I think it's 10 years, unlimited miles in Europe for the UX, but no one buys it anyways because it's UX.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, I'm going to, I don't know if you can see the chat.
Yeah, I can see it.
You can? Okay.
Yep.
So, if you guys want to start asking some questions, we'll probably do this for, 15 minutes or so, and then pack it up.
Cool. That sounds good. That's a good point. Sam Davis made the point that between the Solterra, the BZ4X, and the RZ, that's a lot of electric vehicles to produce in total out of the gate. And I guess we can see the RZ will be a fairly small amount, but good point. Sam, that the 3 of them in total will be quite a bit of volume.
Yeah, he's saying 70,000. I think it could actually be more than that. I think the BZ4X is around 60,000 for the first year, and then you add the 33,000. So we're talking about 100,000 BEVs first year that are all built around the same battery, the same ETNGA platform, same motors. So that's a big ramp up 1 year for, and we're not talking about a new generation of Camry here. That's
right.
This is completely different technology.
Yeah.
Kiki Adams is asking, where can you order one? I don't think you can order them right now, but you could probably call your dealer and put money down. I guess that is ordering one, but you can't do it through the website.
Yeah, I know a couple folks who
have
actually already put in deposits with dealers. And I have a friend, I think, who's number 3 at his dealership. So nice. I know that dealers are taking deposits, but they won't be able to obviously order them until the order book's open. And I do not know when that is. I wish I did. So
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, like Michael said, you can do it at your dealership. We just don't know we don't know pricing. We don't know availability.
Yeah.
Other than really limited production, like we talked.
Yep.
If we get the vehicle so it comes out in Europe and China in October, and it says Japan and US will get it after that. So we might not even see it here in North America this year. I hope I'm wrong, but there's a possibility.
I thought I saw something today that said fall for the RZ in the US. Maybe I'm wrong, but I assume some of them should come. But I think, yeah, I don't know how many will be
Yeah,
an interesting point.
right. Right.
Um, Spencer asked range increase. I doubt it. I doubt like retroactively there's going to be the ability to increase range, but
No.
who knows? Like, Lexus loves to do that 3-year update. Like maybe, what is this, 2023? Maybe the 2026 RZ will come with a new battery option and longer range. Who knows? It's possible.
It's a potentiality.
Yeah.
We're just in a whole new ball game. It's really hard to predict how Lexus is going to refresh these things or update. I mean, they're updatable over the air now more than any other vehicle Toyota or Lexus has ever made. So it's like, are they just going to have redesigns every 6 years like they traditionally have? Well,
True.
used to traditionally, like LX, GX are in another ball game, but
right.
like it'll be interesting to see the product cadence differences with EVs.
Let's see. Somebody asked, what do you expect from Lexus in terms of charging infrastructure for the RZ? Will they form a deal with Electrify America just like other brands? I don't know. I honestly do not know the answer to that. It's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
I did see something in the Japanese video today where they were saying that they've been working behind the scenes to expand and diversify like the charging network as much as possible. Right. What that actually means, I guess we have yet to find out. So I don't know.
I bet they one up Toyota for sure. Like they have, I think Toyota's just 1 year unlimited charging through Eevee Go, I think. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do something like what Volkswagen's doing, which is 3 years unlimited through Electrify America, which is like kind of like their own EV supplier or own EV charging brand, because they had to create it, right? Because of Dieselgate, they got in so much trouble. So that's why they're able to do that. Dude is asking, do you think the next IS will have this 450e powertrain, or will there be an ICE car? Go ahead, Michael.
I think that the IS that we have right now will be the last gas-powered IS. Personal opinion. I think that the next IS, which I guess right now was like allegedly, maybe sometime 2025, I think this generation is scheduled to go through 23 or 24. But I expect that the next IS will be fully electric. And at that point, battery technology should have changed enough that, who knows, it could still be called, IS 450E, but I assume it'll be.
What about IZ?
Yeah, IZ is totally possible. Well, wait, here's the question. Would it be I or would it be N? Would it be I or would it be N? Because Lexus has this competing structure, right? Like the compact is I, S, and NX. The midsize is RX, RC, RZ, ES, GS, and GX. So it could be RE or G, right?
I mean, I can't take their naming seriously anymore. So
yeah, I agree. I'm with you. But I don't know. I think that the next IS definitely will be electric, but don't know what powertrain it will have.
Cool. Yeah, I have no idea. That's why I threw it at you, because like I just have no clue what they're going to do with the IS in the future, or the ES for that matter. So
same. Let's see. Kiki asked, sorry, I think I missed one above that. Breakdown of fully loaded models versus base. I have no idea.
We have no idea yet.
Yeah.
We know Mark Levinson. We know Stargazer Roof. We know heads-up display. We know heated rear seats. We know steering wheel and knee heaters for the front passengers. We know those are all optional, as well as the steering yoke. So yeah, we just don't know how packaging and pricing is going to be. Okay, so we're talking about battery expansion. So if I pull this up, and I also talked about this in, because I have a video when I was doing a walk around of the teardown of the ET&J platform when I was driving the BZ4X. And there's a good amount of space back here between the battery pack and this area where they could add an additional
row of
maybe
cells or something.
15-20% extra battery. Will they do it? Who knows?
Yeah.
Like, I know it's speculative. I can't even talk. We've been talking.
Speculative.
Yeah, it's a tough word right now. Thanks.
I got you. I got you.
Michael's got me. Thanks, bro.
Um,
Um,
let's
okay,
see.
this is loaded, but let's do it. Danny Alex, who's always sending me stuff to my email, like, hey, new article, check this out. So I appreciate you. But he says, next gen RX, which was teased during the RV reveal of the RZ. Well, I missed it,
I saw
but
it.
you did.
Yeah.
Talk about it, because let's go. Let's do it.
So not to plug it, but truly, if you go to lexusenthusiast.com, a round of spy shots of the new RX came out recently.
Yes.
Yeah, so man, there we go. Yep,
There
the
we
next
go.
generation RX spotted in Japan. So when I was looking at it, it looks like a lot of the shapes are pretty similar to the current RX, but it looks a little bit more smoothed out and a little bit more organic. Um, at Lexus Enthusiast, if you follow, like, you've heard me talk about this, I'm not a real fan of the long front overhang that Lexus seems to love, and this RX doesn't look any better, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that this is like a prototype and it's not final, because that front overhang on the RX is pretty rough.
Right. And just
But
looking at the RZ, look at that overhang. It's tiny.
yeah,
It's very tiny. And then we
yeah.
go to this and it's like an extra foot longer.
Yeah, and I mean, plus if the RX is going to go to
Frick.
being 4-cylinder, like why does the front overhang?
Why does
have
it
to
need to
so
be
long?
that long?
So
yeah, and
but,
it's not like the engine is longitudinal,
right,
like the new Mazdas, for example.
Right.
Like, it's still a horizontally mounted engine. So why do we
Right.
need to have all this stupid space?
Yeah, I don't know. Not my favorite. But anyway, in the video reveal for the RZ, they did show some moving footage of the RX prototype, and he said something like the next upcoming Lexus model would be revealed soon, I think over the summer. So
In the summer, yeah.
that checks out. And it's the RX, like that's what they do
RX.
best. So I'm interested to see what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, I got my the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet's up, guys. So we're talking RX. Like, we know there's going to be a 350h based off trademarks, plug-in hybrid 450h plus. We have trademarks for the 500h even. We also can pretty much bank on the 6-cylinder being replaced by the new 2.4 turbo. So, like, we know, and just like when the NX came out, we knew it was pretty much going to be not that much different from the RAV4 like hybrids and plug-in hybrids. So the big question was this 2.4 turbo. Now that we know that, like, I feel like we know a lot. Now there's the one thing we have to speculate it on is the 500h. And we've been hearing things from Japan that it's going to be a single motor hybrid, unlike the dual motor MG1, MG2 setups that we have currently. And that means it can use a traditional 8-speed auto and still get a lot of electrification out of it. And then you'd have an additional motor in the back to power the rear wheels too, in theory. So we'll see. I mean, I've been speculating on that for a while, but we won't know till this summer or later.
I agree with your estimation of like 350 horsepower. So hopefully that'd be great. I mean, an RX with 350 horsepower and that got like, 34, 35 miles to the gallon will be really cool.
Totally. Yeah. Like, this should be the next S-Sport performance, I think. And it'll be a hybrid. It'll be cool.
Yeah, agreed.
First ever, like, what was the last performance? Was it the GS 450H? Was like the last performance hybrid we had?
I guess, do you want to consider the NX 450H Plus a performance hybrid?
No, it's a front wheel drive burnout machine.
Yeah.
I mean, not really, but in cold weather when I drove it in Nebraska, it was. So, yeah, and the electric motor in the back of that only produces 54 horse. So we'll see something quite a bit different here with the 500H. And maybe they use a drive shaft to power the rear wheels, kind of like they do in the 350 all-wheel drive.
Yeah, that's true.
That's still a possibility.
That's true.
So there's just a lot we don't know. But I think 350 horsepower is a good guess just based off of 500H. Okay, let's get back into some questions. Next LS, Marcus is asking, next LS, will it be EV or will it be gas or hybrid or something?
I have made the prediction that I do not think there will be any gas version of the next LS available. I think that the LS is only going to be hybrid and then probably an EV variant as well. I just the market that segment has gone pretty quickly towards hybrid and electric and plug-in, and I don't think there's any reason for Lexus to offer a gas LS, and I think they know that. So
Mm-hmm.
that is my
Yeah.
personal opinion. What do you think?
I mean, the way the LS is selling, I mean, like what's the point of the LS even on the market?
Right.
Like, in nostalgia,
Yeah.
like the LS does nothing for me anymore. It hasn't since maybe the LS 430, because the LS 460 didn't do much for me. I know it's a good car, but it's just like the LS 430 to me was the pinnacle of the LS.
Mm-hmm.
Look, they could cancel it and I would be sad for like a day and that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, when
I
they
don't.
showed us, check this out. When they showed us their electrified future, let me pull up the image.
Oh, the one where like there was an LS snuck into one of the pictures, remember?
No, yeah, I read your article. I actually think that was an ES.
Mm.
But check this out. Like, do you see an LS in here? There is no LS in their future plans, at least according to this. Right? Like, here's an IS, and then they're just kind of like modifying this IS because they're all on the same platform, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of modifying this IS for different scenarios. So kind of like this cross country lift back, super. I mean, sexy as hell. And this is like a dropped version of it. And then they
Mm-hmm.
have a convertible version of it that's 2 doors. So like, why do you need to have an LS, an ES, a GS, an IS when you can just have like, okay, here's IS, and then you have ES or EZ, whatever they want to call it, and you have like easy cross country, easy normal,
Oh my gosh,
and
it
then
cannot be
easy
called
convertible.
easy. I just put
I
it
know,
together.
whatever. Yeah, did you?
Oh man.
Yeah, it's good. But like, right? Like here's the RZ, and then here's the 3-row crossover, which will look really similar to this. And that's probably, to be honest, this is probably the next vehicle, less fully a battery electric vehicle that they give us. That's just what I think, because the crossover market's so hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then these vehicles, they've all said they only work with solid state batteries.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're all designed around the solid state battery. That's why they're so low to the ground and so fucking awesome looking. And that's when they can bring next generation performance and like we've never ever seen other than the LFA before. So yeah, like there's no, I know we were talking about the LS, but this is obviously like let me brighten this up. This is obviously an ES refresh back here.
I think that's the new ES actually.
You don't think it's a refresh? You
I
think
don't
it's a
know.
redesign?
I mean, I'm not expecting the next ES to be on an all new platform because GAK was like a big change, obviously.
Yeah,
So,
K,
I,
you can
I
do a
think,
shit ton with K. So
yeah. So I think, whenever, what is it going to be? Probably 24, like a 24 new ES. I think that's probably it. And I think they'll probably
2025.
25.
Yeah.
And I think they'll probably call it and like the new ES. And I think that's probably it.
Yeah, you're probably right. It'd be the next generation ES, but it's going to be on the K, and therefore I don't think the dimensions will be that different. I think it's going to be plug-in hybrid, and maybe obviously no V6.
Yeah,
I would be surprised, yeah, if it's just like 500H and 350H and 450H plus.
Yeah.
So here's the TX, which I'm super stoked about. But
I hope you're wrong.
anyways.
I like Kevin and I were just chatting about that, and like,
Yeah,
I was
let's go.
we were just chatting about it, and I was saying like when this picture came out, and you go through the stuff in the back line, like yes, there's a small SUV in there, there's a UX, there's the NX, there's the RX, and it's like we all know the TX is happening, like, but we know it's a thing. But when I saw that, I was like, I just hope that's not it. I just gotta say, like, it looks like a big Forester to me. And like the other Lexus designs lately have looked so good, and that just sort of looks like 2002 to me.
I mean, I like it. I don't.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. I mean, you like boxy SUVs. A Forester's a boxy SUV. You drive a GX. It's a box on wheels. Like,
But
I
then
don't know.
like
I
look
think it looks
how
okay.
the RX right next to it, like look how much better that looks.
Well, because it's more of a coupe design, and this
Yeah.
is a three-row vehicle.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, we gotta have a box like the Grand Wagoneer. I see every day because there's one that goes to my daughter's school.
Mm.
And
Literal
like,
shoebox.
I think that vehicle's ugly, but it's practical as hell for big families. So,
Mm-hmm. True.
um, what are we like? What is this?
Last year there was a like, I don't know, I'm like deep into the speculation realm here right now, but last year there was a product sheet that leaked from Lexus Europe. And it showed like an LC refresh and a couple other things, and it showed like a subcompact vehicle under the UX. And I think that has to be it. It has to be like, there's no way. So I don't know that it would come here to North
Right, I don't
America.
know either.
I
Yep.
doubt it. But yes, allegedly there's supposed to be a new ES or a new small vehicle coming under the UX.
To me, the UX. I mean, they sell out of the volume that they allocate here, but they've only ever since the beginning they're like, oh, we want to sell 17,000 vehicles a year for the UX, and they do.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I cannot tell you how hard it was to move the UX 200s, even though they're like the cheapest Lexus car. Like, they're dogs. They're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
inspiring. It's a
rough.
nice Corolla, I guess. But like, this vehicle here looks to be similar dimensions.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't get why they would both be on the market at the same time. Like, to me, this one on the left looks better. It looks
Agreed.
has a longer hood.
Yeah.
Has a more sleek floating roofline sort of thing going on.
Yep.
It looks like kind of like a shrunken down RX.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, the UX, I like the UX hybrid, but the UX hybrid already is outpowered by the Corolla Cross hybrid in Europe.
Yeah. Agreed.
So God bless the UX, but if it went away, I would shed 0 tears for
Same.
the UX.
Same. Yeah. Same.
Some people are saying it's the CT, and that'd be cool if they bring back the CT.
Yeah, it would.
nameplate.
It would.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're kind of slowing down here.
Yeah.
Just fine because it's getting late. Maybe a couple more questions and we'll head out.
Sure.
Do you want to take any questions in the chat?
Let's see. Maybe one of the two wagons is the LS, like Porsche Panamera. I think it's possible. Lexus has made some different comments. About a year and a half ago, they made a comment that the new LS would be different and unlike anything before it. So that's kind of an interesting remark. Whether that means all electric or all hybrid or a change in the body shape, like I think anything like that's possible. So we'll see. What else? I think this was something that I wondered too, and I saw a couple people ask is, would there be an F Sport version or could there be an F Sport performance version? I don't know. That's a really great point. I think if history is like serves correct, like in the past, we've seen Lexus use a separate debut for an F Sport model of a vehicle. So it's possible that there could be an RZ F Sport that maybe shows up at some other point, like a couple weeks or a couple months from now. I think it would be cool. I don't know why not. Like, can't hurt.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the weight? We're not sure yet.
Yeah, I don't think we have official weight.
Oh yeah, and Roger James asked this question, and it was one that I was wondering too. Why is there no frunk?
So Lexus, so their Blue Nexus vehicles, their Blue Nexus motors that are in their vehicles have the inverter integrated into the unit, which takes up a lot of space where the motor actually is. So let's see if we can go to, hold on, let me go back to the image here.
Yeah, when you had that platform image up, it did kind of make sense because it looked pretty substantial over the front wheels.
Let me get it. Here we go. So they've decided to put the inverter over the top of the motor. So this is the motor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. I'm not a engineer by any means, but they've also decided to put all the AC stuff up here. What Tesla has done is they're a little bit more efficient with their packaging, to my understanding. They put the inverter like underneath the rear seat, I believe.
Mm.
And so this is a very efficient packaging back here for the rear motor with the inverter. Like to me, that's what all their motors should be. Very, very slimline or like
Yeah.
streamlined. So you'd be able to have a frunk if you have a motor like this up front, but they also are putting all their like AC stuff in here as well. So I just don't think frunks are coming anytime soon. It makes the vehicle harder to work on.
Mm-hmm.
To me personally, I've lived my whole life without a frunk. I've never felt like I've needed a frunk. I think
Yeah.
it's a gimmick, to be honest, but I can see where people might want to put a purse in there. Like to me, the only vehicle that I've wanted more space in is like a Miata. So like
Mm-hmm.
maybe I could benefit from a frunk in that vehicle where I can't even fit like golf clubs in the trunk. But like it doesn't bother me at all to not have a frunk. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Like,
Yeah.
I I live my life without one. I think I'll be fine now.
Yeah. Yep. Will RZ stand a chance in the Chinese market? Yeah, it'll be fine. They'll sell all of them.
Yeah, I think so too.
Is the average Lexus buyer not someone who would be fine with lower range? Other people who stick close to town. I think the average EV buyer right now doesn't care that much about range. I know that sounds stupid, and I could be wrong. But let's say you go buy a Tesla. How often are you using your 300 miles of range? Like the vast majority of the time, these people who have EVs, they drive, let's say, 50 miles a day and plug it in at night, like once every 3 or 4 days or something. Like to me, range isn't that big of a deal in current EVs. And that's like Tesla's biggest advantage. Yes, they have incredible range. And they also have their supercharging network, which is a big like convenience factor for customers who are traveling. But what are your thoughts about range, and is it necessary right now in the luxury EV market?
Yeah, when it came out, like it's interesting the waves that we've gone through with EVs. Like some people love them for acceleration, some people love them because they don't want to go to a gas station. Some people care a lot about the range. Like I think EV buyers are varied. I think people buy them for different reasons and
Sure.
have different tastes. And I think Lexus knows that. And sort of like we were saying before, maybe the RZ is not going to be the specification sheet winner, but I still think Lexus very much has a place in this category. And I think the RZ is a pretty good entrant for them. And I
Mhm.
saw this question pop up before too, which I thought was interesting. So thanks for asking it again. Will there be a Mazda version based on this platform? I don't know. That's a really good question. It seems right now like Mazda is pretty focused on the rollout of like their new premium rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive
Yeah.
architecture and products. So
Yep.
I haven't seen or heard anything new about a Mazda on this platform, but I don't
Mhm.
know. Never say never, I guess.
No, right. I mean, it's a possibility, but I think the chances are really slim. Mazda really likes doing things their own way, and all the lead up to the ETNJ platform, how Daihatsu and Subaru has evolved. Like, there's no mention of Mazda in there, to my
Mm-hmm.
knowledge. So I don't think it'll be happening anytime soon. So,
Agreed.
yeah. Sam Davis saying Lucid creating 600-mile vehicles is a total waste of lithium. Well, those vehicles cost an arm and a leg as well. So
Mm-hmm.
like, they're
Different
like kind of
ballgame.
like the Mercedes of the EV world, where they're just bringing the biggest guns to the fight as possible, and
Yeah,
people
true.
are, yeah, they're able to do that when you're charging 150K. So
Agreed.
that's not Lexus's philosophy or Toyota's philosophy by any means.
Well, it looks like that's about it, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Thank you,
yeah,
Michael, so much for coming out. I would love to have you on fairly regularly, a few times
Yeah.
a year would be awesome. I'm
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
BZ4. It's like all these electric names are into my HQ Confidential is like a month
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, I'll see you in a month.
So I'll see you in a month, and maybe we can do like a live stream afterwards talking about like the highlights, stuff like that. That'd be kind of fun, but it's
Cool.
up to you.
Awesome. That sounds great. Thank you so much for having me on.
Of course.
Thanks for the folks who jumped on and participated and asked questions. It was fun to be here. And I guess like we'll chat at HQ Confidential, and maybe after that I'll be back to chat about the RX. So who knows?
Awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate you. Appreciate everyone in the chat. Thank you guys for coming out. Wonderful stream. It's a lot of fun. You guys had great questions, and we have a lot that we still don't know about the RZ, and that's what makes it fun. Anyways, guys, we'll end it there. Thank you guys again. Thank you, Michael, again.
Yes,
Catch you guys
thank
next
you.
time.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.